Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to walk you through a very important topic when it comes to marketing your recruiting business, which is how to build a highly effective website. So this video is a companion to the written guide of a very similar name. But in this video, it'll be a lot easier for me to sort of cover some topics that are easier to show with some visuals. All right, so let's jump right in. So first off, we have to answer a simple question is what do we mean by an effective recruiter website? So when we talk about an effective recruiter website, we're referring to a website that assists you with acquiring new clients and leads regardless of lead source. So this is in contrast to what I like to call the brochure website, which is a website that, provides basic information about your business, but doesn't really do much for you on the business development side. So we're talking here about websites that are really going to actually help you grow the business, no matter how somebody finds out about your business. So let's move in right here into the sort of meat of the presentation. And these are the 4 points that we're going to cover in this presentation. I'm going to quickly go over them now so you kind of know what to expect. We're talking about the different elements that you need on an effective recruiter website. So first off, you want to make a strong first impression with high-end design and engaging copy. What's important to note here is that you have about 5 seconds maximum to impress somebody who comes to your website. And if you don't do that, they're going to leave. You may have even less than that when it comes to cold traffic, meaning someone who, say, finds you through a Google search and knows nothing about you. So you really want to make sure that your website stands out and shows you in the best possible light. Next, you want to set yourself apart with social proof. We all know the recruiting market's very crowded, and we'll talk a little bit more about what social proof means, but for now, you need to know that it's a way to demonstrate, to set yourself apart from the other businesses in your market. Third, you want to position yourself as an industry leader. So by this, we mean you want to demonstrate that you know not just about recruiting, but also the niches or practice areas that you work in. And lastly, you want to have an integrated job board that's user-friendly and up-to-date. It shows that you're an active recruiter and that you're busy, but there are also a number of additional features which we'll talk about that can be quite important to finding new candidates for your business. All right, so let's jump in now to the first point, which is making a strong first impression. So, we know that design is somewhat subjective. No two people are going to agree on what's the best looking website or the most effective website out there, but it's not that hard to separate strong and weak websites. As an example, this is a very weak website. It's just a long block of text, and there's very limited design work, and it's not user friendly. The copy is boring, and in this case, probably written for search engines, not humans. Nobody ending up on this site is going to be impressed, and I'm sure many people leave almost immediately. In contrast, we have a website like this, which is one of our client sites. It's very clear exactly who the target audience is right off the bat, and it has really great imagery throughout the site. One thing you'll notice is that whenever a site is engaging, it typically means that it has short blocks of text with a nice design that helps kind of make everything very readable. So you'll see here a little block of text, some images, some little more text, a little more text with images. It's very consistent throughout the site, and that's because studies have clearly shown this is how people want to engage with your website and how they want to consume the information. So it's really important to, not only come up with the nice design, whatever that may be, and could, might change depending on your target market, but also to have a copywriter who can kind of fill in that design with really punchy text. All right, so you have you've thought about sort of the big picture, the design, the copy. What's next? Well, this is where social proof comes in. So as I said at the beginning, you have dozens, if not hundreds of competitors in your niche and practice area. So you might be way better than them at your job, but how do you communicate that to your leads? It's a really tough question to answer. And this, I think, is where social proof is most important. Now, let's of course start with the definition of social proof, which is it's the concept that people will follow the actions of the masses. Since so many other people behave in a certain way, it must be the correct behavior. So what we're trying to do here is use social proof to show how all these other people are happy with your work. Therefore, this new lead is going to be happy as well. So one way to do that is through client logos. Now, client logos are, especially those who are well known by people in your industry, are a really great way to show, hey, I've worked with other people that you might know. Obviously, we're going to be able to do the same work for you. This is probably the best form of social proof there is, especially for bigger, when you can highlight bigger companies. Now, some people object to putting client logos on their site, and they'll say, well, what if my competition comes on my site? Now they know I work with company X and they can poach them. And what I say to people who have this objection is, if all it takes for a competitor to poach your client is to know that they're working with you, then you have a much bigger problem. I really don't think that's the concern, is just that the logo is on your site. So moving on to the next type of social proof, testimonials. Now, when we talk about testimonials here, we're not talking about testimonials that often recruiters put on their site, which are, I would say, low effort. They're of kind of the form of, I loved working with ABC recruiters. They were so great. I mean, those are just not that helpful. You want to get testimonials where people are going to put their name and their company name behind them. And you then can show them off and be sort of proud of what it is you're demonstrating through these testimonials. Now, one piece of advice, if you're struggling to get people to get back to you, even though they had a good experience working with you, what you can do is offer to write the testimonial for them and then have them review it. You'll find that people will be very happy to have this task sort of taken out of their hands, and you'll get a much higher response rate. Next type of social proof, client reviews on external sites. So here we're talking about encouraging people to leave reviews on places other than your website. The reason being that everyone knows that anything you put on your website is controlled by you, but things that are on external websites, you don't have control over, and therefore they carry a lot more weight. So there's a number of sites like this. Obviously, one of them is Google. So what I would do here is encourage people to go to your Google profile and fill out reviews. You can build a very strong profile, which will really help you when people are checking out your site or finding you on Google. Now, the last point within sort of the social proof category are case studies or completed searches. These are basically examples of past work you've done, and they are very helpful for people who are on your site and are trying to figure out if you're the right recruiter for them. If they see a case study that is similar or even better, identical to the job that they have to fill, they're obviously going to feel a lot more comfortable hiring you for that job. Now, one reason I like highlighting completed searches these days rather than case studies is just because you can put a lot more completed searches on your website when they have this sort of shorter format, whereas case studies tend to be a little bit longer and therefore take a bit longer to write. The end result being you don't have as many of them. All right, so you've got this beautiful website, engaging copy. What's next? Well, what you want to do now is position yourself as an industry leader using subject matter expertise. Now, the way that we found to do this most effectively is with salary guides. These are basically guides showing the different salaries of the positions that you fill. Now, one reason they're so great is that everyone loves to know what people are paid. It's a taboo topic, nobody talks about it, and both clients and candidates are going to find this interesting. So if you can provide high value information there, you're going to get people who are going to look at it. Another thing is, reason it can be helpful is that it sort of demonstrates you're committed to the industry or practice areas that you work in. Most people aren't going to create this such a comprehensive guide unless they are. So I think it really goes to show people that you are sort of a knowledgeable expert. And lastly, outside of your website, it's a great marketing tool. You know, in this context, we're talking about having it available for download on your site. But of course, when you create a salary guide, you can also use it as part of an email campaign or a LinkedIn campaign. If you want to go old school, you can even print it out and mail it to people. So there's really a lot of value here in the salary guide, and it's something that is money well spent when it comes to a marketing tool. And lastly, we're talking about blog posts here as another way to position yourself as an industry leader. I think what's very important to note here is that we're not talking about top 5 interview tips. You know, nothing superficial is going to be that helpful for you. Either you can show deep technical knowledge of recruiting or deep technical or deep industry knowledge. But, you know, if you're not going to do those, I tell people don't bother putting up a blog. But if you do have the time or the budget to pay someone else to do it, blogs can really go a long way to communicating exactly how much you know about an industry. And that really shows people that, you know, you're likely going to be able to help them with their specific job. And the last point I want to mention here is the user-friendly and up-to-date job board. So here we're talking about a job board that's integrated into your site and, you know, has all the functionality and features you would expect, such as the ability to search by keyword or by practice area. So, you know, when you click through the post, everything's kind of really nicely laid out, and there's an easy sort of form visible to upload a resume. This is in contrast to a lot of job boards that I see where people use what's called an iframe. That's usually like a little snippet of code that your ATS provider gives you to insert into your website. And those job boards tend to not look very good, and they often don't match the style of your website. So another reason, though, you may want to think about an integrated job board as opposed to an iframe job board is that the integrated job board provides a couple of additional benefits. One is that you can let people create job alerts. Now, a job alert is basically you know, a form that someone fills out where they tell you sort of their preferences for jobs they want to receive in the future, and then those jobs will be sent to them via email. This is a great way to keep candidates coming back to your site and hopefully, you know, showing them jobs that are of interest to them in the future. And lastly, I think this is a really underappreciated point, is that a job board that's set up properly will allow you to get featured in Google Jobs. So as an example, here is, you know, the same company, 180 Engineering, and their job is now showing up within Google. So when people search for jobs, you know, in this area, they will appear in the search results, and this can get you quite a lot of traffic. And if you're a business that really relies on getting a lot of candidates through job boards to your jobs, this is a really great free way to do it. Especially given the sort of ever rising prices of job boards like Indeed or ZipRecruiter or LinkedIn, you know, it's a nice alternative option. That's the end of this tutorial. If you have any questions, you can email me at zach@talentheromedia.com or go to our website and click the Book a Call button at the top to set up a time for a chat. Thanks for watching.